Okay. So first we discuss immutability. So immutability. So basically uh, ang gist ra gyud sa immutability is once a variable is declared and given a value, its value cannot be changed to anything else during the execution of the program. So kung atong binisayon, kung nag-declare na kag value and then kung nag-declare kag variable and naa siya value, imo na siya gihatagan og value, then sa subsequent nga lines sa imong program or sa mga mosunod nga execution sa imong program, dapat kato siya nga variable kay dili na ma-change ang iyong value. So if ever nga you need to process something and then you plan on murag i ulihan nimo ang value ato nga variable, it's a big nga no-no. So dapat ang imong buhaton maghimo kag another variable to save the new value. So for example, if you can see here sa akong kaning code sa ubos, on the left side, we have a function nga foo, and then ani nga line gi-assign niya ang value nga 5 to bar. Then sa next line, nag-assign na po siya another value to bar. Ang iyang gi-assign kay 5 times 2.5. So, this is invalid. So, this is wrong when we talk about functional programming. It's because si bar, imo siyang gi-mutate or imong gi-change ang iyang value. Okay, again, sa taas, ato na ba siya gihatagan ng value. So, dapat sa ubos, dili na siya ma-change. If you look at the code sa right, we fixed the issue by creating a new variable ato siya gipangalan as Baz. So now we have two different variables. We have bar and we have Baz. So by doing so, wala na ta kanang go against sa rules of functional programming nga immutability. So again, ang gist ra gyud sa immutability is if nag-declare kag variable and then na-assign na siya value, dapat dili na ma-change ang iyang value in the subsequent nga lines of code nimo. Okay? This improves the readability of your program and also improves tracking of the state kung mag-debugging ka. Determinism. So a deterministic function will always return the same result given the same input or arguments. So in other words, if nakay function and then ang gihatagan ni nagpass ka og value ana nga function, every time nga tawagon to nimo nga function with the same nga argument, then that function should return also the same nga results. So for example, there is a left side na nga code nagpass tag bar as argument. However, as you can see, we also we return bar plus math.random. So of course, ang math.random, it produces random numbers. Therefore, go against na siya sa determinism na to nga rule. Because again, when we say a function is deterministic, it should always return the same value given the input, or it should always return the same result given a certain input. On the code on the right side, we just return the sum of bar and baz. So maski we're in this function, we are confident nga if balik-balik ang value ni bar and baz atong iparan si foo, it will always result in the same nga value, which is their sum. Unlike kaning sa code sa left nga random ang iyahang result. Question so far sa first two nga concepts? Anyone?
Okay naman, Jim. Marang masabtan naman pod.
Okay. Next. Next, no side effects. So in functional programming, gina-encourage gyud nga ang atong functions kay walay side effects. So what is a side effect? So a side effect happens if a state is being modified or if your function interacts outside of its parameters. So examples ani kay mag-write or mag-save sa database, mag-write sa files, mag-print sa standard input. So that's just some examples of side effects. Okay, so for example, kaning code na to sa left, we have our function foo, and then it's supposed to add bar and baz, and then return the result of the sum. However, as you can see, na siya gihimo nga something else. Unsa man ang something else giyang gihimo? Nag-print siya sa standard input. So that's no. That's what we call a side effect. So dapat ang imong function as much as possible walay side effects. So how do we correct this? So on the code on the right side, ato lang gi-remove or atong gi-delete ang console.log. So by doing that, wala na side effects ang ato ang function. So again, ang example sa side effects kay kani mag-print sa standard standard output dili standard input. So mag-print sa standard output, mag-write sa files, and then mag-save sa database. That's just some of the examples of side effects. Next. Another sa DI. So, dili kay siya obvious nga side effect, but if your function is supposed to do something, murag na siya isa ka goal ng imong function, then your function should only focus on that goal. Dapat wala na siya other things nga buhaton. So that's also part of side effects. Okay, so next, pure functions. So a pure function is a function that is both deterministic and has no side effects. So na-discuss naman na ko kaganina kung unsa ang deterministic and no side effects. So, mara siya. So, a pure function is a function that is both deterministic and has no side effects. And then, lastly, higher order functions. So, higher order function is a function that either takes in other functions as input or produces another function as output. So, I think wala pa kayo mo naka-encounter ani sa inyong mga program. Kaya usually, ang mga functions man nato nga itong ginabuhat kung guys wala pa ta kay kana mga regular functions like mga numbers ang input or string ang input. Pero actually, it's also possible nga mag-pass ka og function sa isa ka function. Okay? So not just strings or not just numbers ang imong pass. So that's what we call as higher order functions. So again, higher order functions, they can take other functions as input or they can produce another function as an output. So some examples in JavaScript are the functions map, reduce, filter, and find. So I hope na mag-do mo another research or mag-try mo ani ng mga functions because these functions are actually very important in functional programming. So just a small overview, ang map na function mag-apply. So for example, nakay array or nakay list. So the map function applies an input function to each item in the array. Meanwhile, ang reduce nga function, ang iyang ginabuhat kay ang array kay iyang gina-reduce into a single value. Then ang filter, iyang ginabuhat kay Marsha, gina-filter niya ang imong array based on some criteria. And then ang find, it just finds a kanang item in your array. So for example, let's just say that you have a list or you have an array of people. Then each person has an attribute of age. Okay? You can use So let's just say for example na sila age nga attribute, and then you want to know pila ang ilang age after 10 years. Okay? So unsa man natubaton ana? So we apply a plus 10 for the age nga attribute for each person. So that happens sa map na to nga function. So our map function would apply the plus 10 na operation to the age of each person. We can also use reduce. We can use it to siguro to get the average age of each person. We can also use filter to list down or to filter the people who are greater than or lesser than a certain age. And then we can also use find to find a person with a certain age. Kana lang siya. So, I hope nga clear na siya, this slide. And then you would do your additional research regarding this after our class or maybe in the future.